everybody, welcome back to Politics Relaxed. As you can see, it's a bit of a Christmas episode this week. It's probably going to be the last one we do for this year. Before we begin, I'd just like to thank everybody for the support for this year, and thank you to everybody here for turning up and speaking. I mean, it's been a really good year. We've grown massively, but especially thanks to the Brian Rose thing. I'm sure somebody will be bringing it up later. But let's get into it. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2021. My good this year was, it was quite hard. This was my hardest one, I think, which probably shows how I thought this year went. I went with this one. Wait, I'll share my screen, and let me relive this moment.
This meeting, I will have to remove you from it. You can't. It's only the chairman who can remove people from a meeting. You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver. No authority at all. No, don't. She's kicked him out. Don't. This is a meeting called by two councillors.
Anyway, that was my good moment of this year. If anybody's wondering what Jackie Weaver's doing now, she started an Agony Ants podcast, which I only just found out about, where she answers your problems. So if anybody has any problems that they need to submit to Jackie Weaver, you can now do that. I thought it was just a funny moment, and it really showed the bare bones of politics. I don't want to overanalyze it, but it was a good moment. Then my bad moment, everybody's gonna eye roll because it's very predictable, but it's Brian Rose running for London Mayor. I mean, the whole mayoral election was just, it was a good time. You had Nicole Milano running, you had Max Voss, you had Brian Rose. There were a lot of interesting candidates, Peter Gammons, and I mean,
Girl Minister.
Yeah, it was an interesting race, and I think, especially when we interviewed him, obviously that was a bit of a standout moment of this year. Definitely. And obviously it's got us to where we are, so I couldn't not talk about it. And then finally, I don't think anybody really wants to see this, but because it's my ugly, but it's gonna be. It was a bad moment. I mean, Matt Hancock in general was the ugly moment of this year, but seeing him do this, I mean, seriously, what a creepy guy. I think Hancock in general this year was not great, was it? But
he has no redeeming qualities.
No. He's just a weird guy.
Do I sound like a maniac for saying that he probably wasn't as bad as the rest of them?
As the rest
no,
of
he was. He definitely was. Him and
shush. Like, if you look at his overall demeanor, you know what he stood for, it's a lot less horrible than what Priti Patel wants. I'm just saying that right now. His policies aren't disgusting, right?
He doesn't have policies.
I'm just saying that right now.
I mean, to talk about, I don't think Matt Hancock has policies, so, but I mean, maybe Priti Patel and maybe Gavin Williamson come close, but he was something else, wasn't he?
Phoenix, to be fair, sorry, just dare I say, to play the devil's advocate and defend Daniel here, I think we have to recognise at least some degree of ministerial competence within Matt Hancock.
As the others.
If you put Matt Hancock in charge of a McDonald's branch, it would go wrong. I tell you right now. He's not competent enough to run a McDonald's branch. He's certainly not competent enough to be the health secretary. And I'm just glad that we've got rid of him, because that was definitely my ugly moment this year.
I'd prefer him as prime minister than Boris. I can't lie.
What? No.
I would not. No, thank you. No. Can you imagine? Can you imagine it's the UN and you see Matt Hancock going up to shake hands with Vladimir Putin or going up to shake hands with Xi Jinping? He would start he would go for a high five and he'd be like, Yo, man, do you listen to Stormzy? Me too. He's just.
I did say I was playing the devil's advocate, Felix. Don't
Yeah.
come down on me too hard. But,
Yeah.
but on some level, I mean, it's very hard for me to do this myself. But
Should I go next?
to recognise the extreme circumstances and demands of COVID, I think that could be one potential.
Right. Probably my good moment of the year was the July 19th reopening. I think many would agree. I mean, after all the lockdown and after about a year it was, I think it was pretty relieving. My bad, if I just share my screen here. God. So I'm not sure how political it follows, but the Suez Canal blocking, I mean, it pretty much impacted the economic scape worldwide. I mean, it was quite fun seeing how it unfolded. And I've got two uglies, but one of them's probably a bit bigger than the other one. I think the first one's pretty recent, coming into light. Obviously, I think it's 9 Christmas quizzes.
You picked the wrong photo. You picked the wrong photo. You with the Downing Street.
I mean, there's many, and some of my favorite team names which have been found from this. Hans face first place, and next slide, please. And yeah, and it's my final one. Soon, bloody work.
You should have gone with the new photo. The new photo is.
I like this one. It's very it's very.
My last one is a bit
very up close,
controversial, but it's the Taliban soldiers that had a bit of fun at a theme park.
Are we allowed to laugh at this? I mean,
not really something to the situation itself wasn't the best, but it's a bit of fun from a dark situation, I guess.
I mean, it's all a bunch of it's a media stunt by terrorists. I don't exactly think it's very funny.
Yeah.
It looks pretty funny to me.
Where in your entire lifetime would you see terrorists at the wheel of a bumper car? This is exactly why it's funny here.
Yeah, I mean,
it is quite funny, but it
is ugly. The situation itself is ugly, but I mean, we've got. It is just
a media stunt, to be fair.
My good is quite bland, it's quite boring, it's quite generic, but it has to be the vaccine rollout for me. I think the progress that's been made with that, it's explained enough in itself. Now, my bad and my ugly, they're both bad and they're both ugly, in my opinion. But the one that's more bad than ugly, I would say, is the whole Owen Paterson scandal and the ensuing by-election. Frankly, not a good image for politics. And my ugly, and in my opinion, it is truly quite ugly, is the Angela Rayner scum comment. Viewers may know my distaste for Angela Rayner from prior videos, but for me, that has to be the ugliest moment in politics, aside from the Downing Street parties. But I'm sure someone else will take that, so I've taken the Angela Rayner scum comment.
Which she did apologise.
Of course you hate Angela Rayner, don't you? Like one of the only competent people in politics.
Oh,
he's one of the only
competent
people in politics right now.
Woman who couldn't even get through senior school.
She's got more personality.
No way.
She's a very good politician, and I have a lot of respect for her.
Oh my god.
Right. I'm on the fence with Angela Rayner. I want to like her, and I feel a bit like a woke bourgeois elite, as somebody would probably call me for not liking her. But I'm not a big fan. But it's my personal opinion. Maybe that's good.
You know what Labour need? What Labour need?
What we need is you to stop talking about actual politics. Not talking about Christmas.
People who actually care about people, not all of these scum who don't care. You know these posh pieces of Tories and
Daniel, this is a light-hearted episode.
Yeah,
right. I'll stop.
What I will say is, like you,
I'll stop.
You made things unlikely, but in a way, I want to like Angela Rayner, and I think she does have the potential to be. And in fact, she has shown she is a very competent politician at times. But I do think that sometimes the wheels do come off, just sometimes. But obviously, I do want her to actually do well, so that Labour do have a good opposition to the government. I may be Conservative, but in order for a government to function well, it needs to have a well-oiled opposition, and that is actually something I do want to see from Labour.
First, well, my only good moment of the year is simply defined by this image right here.
Oh.
Wait, which image could you see? This is not the image I wanted to show. Is this the Boris one?
NHS.
Oh, it's the NHS. Yeah. I think just this year we saw people coming out of retirement. We saw young people get ushered into the service as quickly as possible. We've seen thousands of volunteers come together, and I thought it's just a testament to everything good that this has happened this year. The vaccine rollout completely due to the NHS. I know Ollie said it was a vaccine rollout that was good. I just think the NHS service is complete brilliant. Yeah,
I love the NHS as much as anyone, but I'm fed up a little bit of people virtue signaling the NHS. I don't like that word, but it's probably the most fitting one. And it's like when people clap for the NHS, it was like this inspiring moment, but they never actually got a proper award. So I think that I would use this moment to say it's time that the NHS staff all of the NHS staff get a proper pay rise and start getting treated a bit better. But I mean, as I said,
I did. The one moment I didn't like is that we had a few foreign workers that stepped into the pandemic, and then they weren't awarded. They were only awarded 1 year extensions to their visa, or something, and people were calling that they should have gotten a lot bigger extension to come and stay and work in the UK.
I'm ready to go, by the way, Felix.
Great.
Rajan, you're bad now.
Okay, so my bad moment. This year, we lost two very big individuals in the UK. One of them is loved by all. One of them is loved by some. So the first man who was loved by all, this gentleman here, Captain Sir Tom Moore. We lost him in February, in the beginning of this year. I thought that was a very sad moment for everyone.
This is like a BBC program. This is like everything that some random celebrity on BBC would say. Oh, this is the best moment of the year or something.
Rajan,
why does no one like what
you got less personality?
So Rajan, I'm with you.
And the second person we lost was this man right here, the Duke of Edinburgh.
You're such a cliche.
Oh no! A 95-year-old died. The horrors. I don't give a damn. Sorry, 99. I simply did not care when he died. It was not a big deal. I don't know why the whole media swung it into some big tragedy of one person's.
Daniel, just tone it down a little bit. It is the Christmas episode. Let's remember.
What do you mean?
Daniel, mic is very loud.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. I'll probably get it over and done with it. It doesn't seem that I've had good reception for my choices. Anyway.
Bland, aren't they?
I mean, they're safe options. And
It's like serving plain rice. It's like, sure, you serve plain rice. Keir Starmer. Oh look, it's Keir Starmer. It's Raj and Semi.
Fair.
What's your ugly then, Rajan?
Yeah. My ugly moment is Boris Johnson's face when he came out of lockdown. He looked like some old man. I don't know. Have you seen that picture that they put on the Sun? His face was plastered all over the newspapers, and it was very unpleasant sight to see. It seems very defeated after lockdown with no barbers, and yeah. Well, thank you everyone for coming to my not very inspiring talk.
Rajan, I'm sure his hair would have benefited massively from a haircut, because we always know that Boris Johnson's hair is on point.
Best moment of the year was, of course, the 20th of January when we saw Trump go. I think that's shared around the world by normal people. Another good moment was obviously the 19th of July when we had the Freedom Day. And the bad, I would say, was my bad. I think was when
Oh, okay.
and this isn't anything relevant to the UK or Europe or anything, but my homeland when we had another corrupt election, which voted in
Kazakhstan.
which voted in Tokayev again. It was like 85%, to him, which is very believable, very believable.
And you're ugly? Just maybe every point Daniel's made.
The Christmas party, of course.
Oh, nice and original.
I good. I was quite difficult to choose good. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Yes, I can. Good. All right. I think we're all going to appreciate this again, but it's Mr. Brian Rose.
Oh
I mean, he's not terrible.
He still posts these. I had a look at Brian Rose the other day. I was curious to see what he's up to now. He's up to what he does is crypto and this. Literally all he does.
So yeah, what we can I can annotate this. So what we can see here is Ryan Rose. Oh, this is a lot of fun. All right. Okay, I'll stop sharing. So yeah, Brian Rose. I'd like to talk about him a bit more. I know Felix mentioned him, but he was as a bad. I think Brian Rose running was ultimately a good thing. He got 30,000 votes, which and as we all know, he was in second place at one point, just behind Sadiq Khan, according to the bookies that he paid off.
What about the poll? The 20th century object?
Why do you laugh like a 5-year-old girl?
And also, I just think, I don't know if he's a bit of an enigma, because I think he took himself seriously, and that's just strange.
I mean, I've always been baffled by him, just generally. I mean, apart from being,
I actually get why some people support him.
Clearly, he evoked some interest in you, Felix. You'd been obsessed with him. Felix, you had been obsessed with him from December 2020
it was my
up until the election, really.
It was my instinct.
I mean, yeah, you took note of him much earlier than anyone else did, and of course, the legendary interview was.
I wonder if I can find a video of him running after the bus.
Yeah, was quite something. Anyway, if we go on to my bads, what was my bad? Sec. I have it. Ah, yes. I need the picture.
Yeah, Daniel, you can make your point now if you want.
So I think the type of people that Brian Rose was going after, was America who trade Bitcoin. The modern entrepreneurs
right.
are so full of themselves. And he thought that there are a lot more people in America than there actually was. Why'd you have a flipping tab open saying gay Santa?
Oh.
What?
I was just looking at that story again. YouGov did some polling on that. It's quite interesting as to who thinks it's acceptable. But either or. My bad. This for this episode would have to be Mr. Joe Biden, current president of the United States, to January 2020 to present. No, sorry, January 2021 to present. He has done a very mediocre at best job at being president. He has not united the country as he wanted to in during his election campaign. His the economy is not very good at all. Inflation is very high, gas prices and the like, and that's not particularly helping anyone, and he doesn't know what to do to solve them. And also, he's just really old. I mean, if you hear his speeches, I mean, I know he has a stutter or something, and that doesn't particularly help him either. But he's not eloquent. He doesn't get his point across very well. And I suppose we can go on to my ugly now as well, which would be the evacuation of Afghanistan. Oh, hang on. I do not want to subscribe.
The Japan Times. That looks like a really good investment.
Yeah. Don't worry about him. Okay, I can't. Okay. Yeah, my ugly is the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Pretty shambolic. I know it's not only Biden, but I will be mainly blaming him here, because the decision to withdraw all troops from the war-torn country, where even with the reduction in troops, you are still barely holding on from a Taliban advance. That decision is was just out of line. I mean, the Taliban took over the country in 3 weeks, and of course we all know the Taliban are just not very nice. And
thanks, Piers.
And the lack of the lack of leadership against this.
I think that's slightly more than not nice, Piers. You know.
Yeah, that's part of the joke. The lack of leadership from America, and also Dominic Raab as well, with that interesting position in Greece or wherever he was. I know it's it's still up for debate, but I suppose it's not that present anymore. Anyway, we'll see how Afghanistan does. Biden did not do well there. It was a bad decision.
Yeah. So firstly, for my good, and my good is the month of May. Fantastic, not only because it's when we start to see glimpses of the sun here in this country. Also, I think because of a fantastic performance by the Conservatives in the local elections, and also all the other elections and the Hartlepool by-election that was going on. That was a very happy time for me. I felt much more joyous and triumphant. What am I saying? What's the word?
Hopeful.
Optimistic. Yeah, that's a weird one. That slipped my head. Doesn't happen often. Triumphant. I was feeling triumphant at that period of time, which was brilliant. And as I say, really, really joyous and hopeful and optimistic for the future of the Conservative Party. And obviously, unfortunately, that slipped away a little bit in recent weeks. But at least at the time, I was very happy. And the Hartlepool by-election was a whopper of a result. I don't think I'll forget that for a long time. On the flip side, my bad is this, which I've printed out all 40 or so pages of it. I think it's flipped because of the camera, but it's the road ahead. It's Keir Starmer's essay. Now, not only does it contain very little detail, that I must confess to not having bothered reading the whole of it on the basis that I think that it would put me on permanent sedatives. But if I'm honest, I just think what kind of political leader who wants to get elected decides to produce a massive essay to try and detail their points of view. It's like there'd been no concept of policies or anything before this essay. He could have used it or something along these lines, just set out basically the specific points and details of his policies in very brief sentences and bullet points, for example, that the public would be able to read and understand. But naturally, Keir Starmer, being the boring old Islington lawyer that he is, decided that he would produce a massive essay, only adding to the conventional stereotypes that we all attribute to him now. And I'll move on to my ugly now, and it's this. No, clearly I'm saying this for comic, not disconsolate purposes, because I think I'm last, and it would be rude to end on a disconsolate note. But it's not the fact that he's ugly. To be clear, it's the ugly thing is the fact that he was removed from his position as Foreign Secretary. That, in my opinion, is the absolute disgrace of the year. That just for me, there is nothing worse than that. So look, it's a great shame, and hopefully he'll be able to go.
You cannot say that seriously.
Top jobs. I believe he did a highly competent job on everything he did, including on the Afghanistan withdrawal. It's just basically fact. You know, you can't fault him in his handling of the process. He interrupted his holiday.
Have you not seen have you watched the
he interrupted his time on the beach to go to his hotel room in order to convene the G7 or foreign ministers, and in order to collaborate a clear international response to the Afghanistan crisis. And in my mind, he is the unsung hero of this year.
The unsung hero of this year. Oh my God, Jesus! Seriously,
I want to take my name back.
Jesus. I mean, I thought Rajan's picks were bad, but then you picked Dominic Raab. Oh my God!
As I say, I'm choosing it primarily for comic purposes because I am last and I'm not going to be miserable. But I mean, I'm still a bit peeved about that.
The Unsung Hero Award. We seem to have lost Susan, unfortunately. Which is very unfortunate. But now we come to the voting procedure. You can call this number now on the screen. Yeah, but I'll edit it right after. But anyway, I just want to say a few thank yous. First of all, thank you to everybody here, as usual. Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking. I can do my awkward outro as usual. But thank you as well to Sam Moshi, who creates our intros every week very diligently. So I think he deserves a special mention. Thank you to everybody who covered the Brian Rose thing. I think that's another important thing. Coffeezilla, Rebel Wisdom, all of the people who really picked that up. So thank you to you. And thank you to everybody who subscribed. We've grown over 8,000 subscribers this year. It's been a bit of a momentous year. So thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, big thank you to you. Here's to another year.